capacity to do so, the only party that has the willingness to drive to do so, that understands the need to do so, to completely dismantle the nanny state, because it does affect average Americans in every step of their everyday lives, from education to business to travel and on down the line, is the Libertarian Party. And we have to make sure that that message reaches the American people, particularly this election year. Sovereignty. The sovereignty of our nation is absolute and foremost. If we can agree on but one function of government, it is to protect the national borders and the national sovereignty of our nation. And from the United Nations on the banks of the East River to the border crossings in San Diego, the current system of government, the current two parties have failed us, and the candidates will continue to fail us if they put forward. Here again, because they have no real understanding of the need and the primacy of sovereignty and protecting sovereignty against those international organizations that would take it away, or because of the unfettered illegal immigration. I'm simply talking about protecting our borders. We have one of the indices of sovereignty is simply knowing who's coming into the country and assuring ourselves that they don't pose a threat to us. Yet you don't hear that being talked about from Washington. None of these issues, putting defense back first and foremost in the national defense equation, the cost of government, the nanny state, the tax system that is driving Americans into bankruptcy, none of these issues are going to be addressed during this election cycle unless this party and our candidates do so. Finally, last time I looked at the Libertarian National Platform, whether one, and I looked at the 06 one, I've looked at the 04 one, and prior ones, I don't think that there is any reference in there to the fact that fear should drive government policy. The Libertarian Party is not a party based on fear. The other two parties are the national parties, the national status quo parties. And they know, why fear? Well, they know, as Edmund Burke recognized back in 1757, and I quote him, "No passion so effectively robs the mind of all its powers of acting and reasoning as fear." John Adams said it also about 20 years later, in 1776, that the basis for most governments, and I might add all tyrannical governments, is fear. Fear is the vehicle through which government controls and manipulates the citizenry. It can play and should play no role whatsoever in the national policy, the local policy, or the state policy agendas of this country. Yet more and more, that is what is driving public policy debate in America. And it's not necessarily that the motivation for those using and succumbing to the allure of fear as a motivation and a driving force to achieve government's ends are bad. I mean, after all, as Louis Brandeis said many years ago, the greatest dangers to liberty lurk in the insidious encroachment by men of zeal, well-meaning, but without understanding. We need leaders who do understand, not just that are well-meaning, not of zeal, but who really understand what's at stake here. We need leaders who understand limited government and who are willing to put their lives on the line in whatever form is necessary to truly start turning back the tide of big government. And the Libertarian Party, I assure you, you already know this, but it's always useful to remind us so that we can remind our fellow citizens that there's only one party that will do that, one party capable of doing it, because there's only one party that understands the need for it and the importance of it, and that is the Libertarian Party. America's voters, when they go into that polling booth on November 4th of this year, they deserve better than the choices that they have faced year after year after year, and that is voting for the lesser of two evils. America deserves better. Real Americans deserve real choice, and we aim to give it to them. We will. We as libertarians, I say, must give it to them, because if we don't, nobody else will. This is why I've not only joined the Libertarian Party formally a couple of years ago, It's not only what motivates me to continue to work as much as I can, as hard as I can, passing attention to having to pay my bills at home, with the Libertarian Party, for the Libertarian Party, and for libertarian ideals. What we have to do this fall, and in the months now leading up to the fall election, is to make sure that we do everything we can to send them a message that the status quo and those who advocate and prey on the status quo, that is, the two major parties of this land, are failing and will continue to fail the American people. We need to send the American people a message that there is a better way. It's been out there for a long time. You know, Michael Van Erck heard this 4 years ago and took that message from one corner of the country to the other. We have to build on that. We have to do that this year. We have, I believe, if not a unique, very close to a unique confluence of events that has created a situation where we can really raise this debate to a new level and achieve a great deal, not just for ourselves. We're not in this for ourselves. None of us are. We're in it for this country, those who have gone before and those who will go ahead. But in order to send them a message, I ask you to send me a message. Support the Bob Barr Exploratory Committee. Let us know that there is support, that there is interest out there to really tackle these issues in a way and in a forum, and go toe-to-toe, eye-to-eye, mano-a-mano with those folks in Washington. We don't do it, nobody will. We're libertarians. We will. I'm convinced of that. Thank you all very much for having me here today.